To be honest, is the pod going up? To be honest, sit down, we need to have a talk. Cornelius gonna make a point that the others don't. Them other shows sound the same, come escape the box. Expand your mind, dig into no controversial topics. He ain't scared to keep it real. Tune into this podcast, but don't be in your feelings. We gon' have a laugh, we gon' talk about some pain. Let's talk about the present situation of today. To be honest, is this the podcast? I need to tune in right now.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Cornelius, Lindsey, back with another episode of To Be Honest. Yo, we have started a brand new series talking about sonship and even, daughtering and ministry and some of my experiences with mega pastors, mega church, and just church culture in general. And, we had this conversation, brought in Shareef, and he's been absolutely amazing and forthcoming and being able just to share some of his own experiences. So we're going to jump back into part 3 of this whole experience. So Shareef, man, I'm excited to have you back with me, bro.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. I think we might have woke up a great giant.
I know.
I mean, it's been a pleasure, man, just to see the responses from people as well, man. Just getting the, DMs and all that or whatever, man. I'm really excited about this. So thank you for having me as well, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate it. And I think it's important for us to mention again, and one of the things that, I know you and we talked about, our goal here is not to shame anybody. Our goal here is not to, we ain't trying to out nobody. We ain't trying to like that. I'm not into the whole cancel culture, all that kind of stuff. I feel like we need to have these discussions, because these discussions, they not only allow for us to heal, but
absolutely,
you know what I mean? It allows for other people out there to feel like, man, I'm not alone in what I went through.
Relate.
So, you know what I mean?
It's the truth. It's almost like the untold story. You know what I mean? Like that never gets told. And so it's like, if you don't tap into it, you're going to have a lot of broken people, male and female, who have experienced, trying to be connected to a spiritual father or mother, feeling the spirit of rejection, feeling the spirit of competitiveness, amongst the other sons and daughters in ministry. And you wind up losing yourself. So, it's important to have that. It's like, I feel like we're a voice, to heal those that are, quiet and don't know who to talk to, and not trying to, as you stated, shame the covering. At the same time, I just want to heal. I just want to be whole. I just want to also forgive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's the key.
And I think a big part of forgiveness, I mean, people will excuse and say, or they'll think that forgiveness is also forgetting. Here's the thing is, I forgive. It's just that I haven't forgotten. And even though I forgave, I still have trauma that came from what I experienced. So
and see,
I want to be able to talk about, communicate the trauma. I've forgiven it. I've let it go, but I can't forget it. And I want to deal with the trauma of it. And the trauma, it comes through communication. So we have to be able to talk about it.
Absolutely. And that's the key. Let me say this, because you said something, man. And one of the misnotions of the church is we think that we can pray everything away. And the reality of it is there's a trauma that you just can't pray away. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a trauma that you're going to have to actually, go and do some surgery internally, where you're going to have those conversations with a therapist or people that can really help you, because the trauma is just that deep. I'm not saying that, prayer cannot be an assistant, but you can't just say, go pray, you'll be fine. No, that's not truth. That's not even biblical.
This is what we were told, right? Just pray. You don't have enough faith. You ain't reading your Bible enough, or you haven't been praying in the spirit long enough, or what time you waking up? You're not waking up early enough to pray against the demons of the day. And it's like, no, I need to go see a therapist because I'm suicidal.
And now you feel even more bad, because you're like, wait a minute, God, I'm not aligned. Now you jacking me up even more. You know what I'm saying? So, and one of the things I want to talk about, man, which was something that we tapped on a little bit last week, but we didn't really go into it, was, the competitiveness, of the sonship, how you wind up battling, for a father. And that was not the initial goal. So from my experience was like I was talking about with Pop, it was like, you're there, right? And you have certain sons that are close physically, right? Like always there every day. But then you have sons that are close, but they're just not around every single day.
Right.
That was me. And it was almost as if when I came around, some of the sons almost looked at me as if I should have never been there. Like, well, like, why are you here? Now, mind you, I brought some of y'all around. You know what I'm saying? Number one. Number two, I don't care about this. Because in my mind, I'm like, listen, I just want a dad. So I'm looking for my father. Like my dad said, come up here today. Sunday after service, come upstairs. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what he was saying to me. So I never forget, man, one day it had got out of hand. And it was this one guy, I'm not going to say his name. One guy, we had a meeting at the church, and Bishop was just talking to the sons or whatever. And he was talking about the closeness of the sons, right? I mean, the closeness between, he said something in reference to, y'all could be cool, but y'all connection is to me. So it's almost saying y'all loyalty is to me, right? All of a sudden, bro, I get water dashed in my face from a son that was sitting next to me because he was over there fueling of my closeness to Bishop. Like, couldn't understand why I was so close to Bishop. And I'm sitting there like, bro, like, so I jumped up and tried to fight him, of course. And it was like one of those things. But here's my thing. Why do it come to a fight? Why do it come with such competitive energy instead of that Christian brotherly love? So when you say you're my brother, I don't perceive you as such because all you want to do is try to take a position from me that I ain't even asking for. I came for a father. You came for a position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Bro, it's almost like we live the same life and we didn't even know each other. It was the same way. I think I shared this in the last episode where it was like, I wanted so bad to just have the father,
Right.
I just wanted my spiritual dad. That's it. And so even when, we got into this, G12 group or we got into the group, I remember just saying to him over and over again, I would say to the guys, like, y'all ain't my brothers. Like, I don't really want to be here with y'all. I think it was the fact that I not only I worked for him.
Right.
I worked for him. So I was in the office with him. I traveled with him because I worked with him. And then it was like, when all of us had to go somewhere together, it was always like, you don't need to sit by him. I'm gonna sit by him. And I'm like, nigga, I don't care. I don't want to sit by him anyway. I'm tired of him anyway. I'm sick of sitting beside him. You sit beside him. You can get his water. You know what I mean? I was like, I couldn't understand that. It was always this thing. Like, because he would say, they would go to us and say, hey, I want to meet with you. And he would say, hey, you got to talk to Cornelius. And I'm the door holder because I'm the assistant.
Right.
But I'm like, yo, that's it. You talk to me. I put you on the calendar. You can go talk to him. It's just how it has to go professionally. But I get that, man. It becomes extremely competitive because nowadays, not only do you have to fight the brothers, and I want to bring up this point too. Now you have to fight the brothers for the attention of the father, or just for a seat at the table. But then you almost have to fight. It's almost like for the fathers nowadays. I don't know how it is out for a lot of people, but it's almost like if you're not shining,
right?
If you're not, the ace boom coon, if you're not producing and doing things, if you're not verified and all that kind of stuff, then it's almost like you don't get seen.
Right.
And you get thrown to the back of the line. And I get it because I hear from these fathers who are saying, no, I'm loving all my sons. I love all of them. But it's like, no, bro, you got some who you really love and whose churches may be booming. And then the guys whose churches, they just haven't been able to find their stride. They're good guys, great men. Right. Their churches may be smaller. They're who they're speaking to may not be as large. Their following may not be as large. And you start to notice they don't get as much time with dad as the guy with the bigger church and the bigger name and the bigger impact. That guy gets a lot of time because that guy just seems to be the one that, goes to him. So you not only you're fighting, you have this competitive spirit with these brothers, and then for the ladies out there with the daughters, then you also have to fight to say, well, I need to produce more so I can get this man or this woman's attention.
Let's you know what's crazy? Like, so this is the thing that we don't really talk. And I don't know if we're going to talk about this in this episode or go to the next episode, but that's the thing. We don't talk about the daughters enough as well, you know, because there are daughters that are in ministry that are hurting from a spiritual father and or a spiritual mother. You know what I'm saying to you? And their pain is equal, if not sometimes worse, because, you know, you can find yourself connected to a covering, but you wind up being covered in the wrong areas of your life. You understand what I'm saying to you? You wind up, you know, touching and agreeing in some of the wrong areas of your life. Yeah. So I think that's something
I had a young lady reach out to me, and I shared this with you, and I'm not, you know, I'm not sharing names or anything, right. But she reached out after listening to, I think it was the first episode we did about this. Mm-hmm. She reached out and she said, you know, I'm so glad you guys are talking about this. She said, because, you know, one thing is, as a daughter, she said, I was adopted as a daughter. I was brought in as a daughter. She said, and as a daughter, she said, you know, with me, she said, not only was it that I felt rejected right. by the father, but I felt like the father only adopted me because he wanted to have sex with me.
Wow.
And then after he was done with me, then all I know is there was a new daughter that was brought in, and then I was kind of pushed to the back. And she was like, you know, I have no animosity. I have forgiven. I have moved on, all those things. She's like, but this is the pain that I still deal with because I still see him daughtering new women. And like, man, so she has to deal with the rejection.
Oh, man.
Of all of that. And she, you know, she in the long thing she wrote, she's like, you know, she still goes to the church and all this kind of stuff. She loves him and loves his teaching, and that's still her pastor. But at the same time, she's like, you brought me in as a daughter. That's the thing I don't understand. Right. I didn't even ask to be a part of this.
Right.
You brought me in.
Right.
To love me, and then you just throw me away like, oh, bro.
Yeah. Right. You know, it's funny. It's not funny, but it's crazy you said it, because I remember Bishop did a message a long time ago, and it was called "Leading While Bleeding." And it's almost
that
like
message went viral. Whenever viral was, everybody was talking about that.
Yeah, man. And that reminded me of sonship and daughtership, where you still, how you said the young lady, she's serving and committed, but yet still bleeding. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Internally. And it's almost like, because of my love for you, I can't break away. It is, and the reality of it is so many of us have been loyal for so long that honestly, sometimes the only thing that can break us away physically is death. But then after death, if you're the one still alive, you're still connected to a soul tie. You see what I'm saying? And that soul tie runs so deep that you find yourself still lost and puzzled. I know myself. I found myself still lost and puzzled with unanswered questions, unresolved issues. On top of you having people, for me, I've had people make many, because of what the media have portrayed, I have had people make many assumptions about me. And at the same time, I've had people turn their backs on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. Like, you say, we're loving God, we're building, but I got hurt. But because of the power of the men and women of God, you turn your back on the lesser power, in a sense, and that person could go ahead and commit suicide, and you can care less, right? Yeah. But we're in ministry, but they can commit suicide or they can hurt themselves because you turned your back on them. The church turned their back on them. They can't. Some people are, get blackballed from their local, ecclesias. You know what I'm saying? And so, how do you deal with and I'm coming back because it's so much trauma, and we could call it a spirit of manipulation, but it's so much trauma behind the scenes. And it's almost like you can see the men and women of God healing all these people, and you're traveling with them broken. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wait a minute, like, wait.
And I want to throw this in too, because I want to make sure that people, that we understand the importance of our own personal responsibility.
Right.
one of the things that when I sat down, when I talked to Creflo, one of the things that, you know, I had to make known to him was that I came in with something that it took me till I got older to realize that it was my responsibility when I brought this in. I came in with an assumption and an expectation.
Right.
You know, and my expectation looked like this. You know, it had a certain look to it, had a certain sound to it. It was a relationship that I thought, man, in this relationship, I'm going to get everything that I thought I ever needed. You know, as a son, I'm going to feel loved. I'm going to feel valued, appreciated, all this kind of stuff. That was my expectation. Yeah. But the reality is, this man has a wife. This man has kids of his own.
Come on.
This man has a ministry that, I mean, that he has. I mean, I was there at the table, you know, his TV budget and the things he has to run and the places he has to go. He's traveling around the world. He has friendships. He has his own personal trauma he has to deal with, his own personal issues. Ooh. And all of the expectation is that this man is just supposed to fulfill these holes in my heart that should have been filled a long time ago. Absolutely not. So I had to take personal responsibility and recognizing that a lot of the trauma that I felt, I hold some responsibility. I had an expectation.
Speak on it. That's true.
And my expectation was not fulfilled. And usually what we do when it doesn't get fulfilled, we get hurt. And then we get mad at the church and we get mad at them when we don't introspect. We don't say, you know what? My expectation was really lofty and it should not have been. I put a lot of expectation in them. And to be honest, they didn't really need all the expectation because
they're not God.
They couldn't handle it.
You know what's crazy? Is this something you said is so powerful? I remember a few years back, I found myself having to fall into a place of repentance, right? Because I remember Bishop saying, Shareef, you don't understand. It's a lot on my plate. So although I said I was going to call you at 7:30, I called you at 9:30 because I was on the phone with the president. You see what I'm saying to you? Or I had to make sure that my wife, I had to take my wife to dinner. Then I had to make sure that when we got home, I make sure my wife was okay. But like you said, we got to take responsibility because we also put these false expectations on people. Because again, we talked about this before. We look at them as supermen and superwomen, and they're not. They're still human. So we cannot forget about their humanity. And my whole point was, I now understand from my level of busyness and preaching and all this and that or whatever, the capacity. And I'm like, yo, like, I understand now, and I'm sorry. Like, although he's not here no more, I had to say, God, he up there with you. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I now understand the difficulty of that balance, that trying to be a pastor, trying to be a husband, and also because Bishop, he had his own sons. Yeah. And that's a whole other conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like with, you know, the confrontations and all that or whatever. But then on top of that, you know, he have a whole like mega ministry out there with millions of people watching him on television. Have to go to Africa, New Zealand, you know what I'm saying? Like a whole 20,000 church membership, you know, and just like you mad because he didn't get to your problem. He answered your call. That's selfish of us. But I'm gonna tell you the problem with some of them though. I know with Bishop, his problem was his heart was so big that he make you believe that he can do it all.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying to you? And that was the problem. Because it's not like I came in having this expectation. It's almost like you said you was going to be this to me. You see what I'm saying to you? You said it. So I didn't mean to have this, and I didn't mean to not understand. This is why I told you, I don't know if I said, like, I cried a lot at his funeral because it was so painful because I wasn't able to say I'm sorry, but I wasn't able to hear him say, I'm sorry. You see what I'm saying to you? Like, it was just like, it was difficult because I really wanted to tell him how sorry I was of not understanding his whole story.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying to you?
Absolutely. Man, I think that really tugs at my heart a lot, man. Just even hearing that, you know, I'm great. It makes me very grateful and very thankful. You know, I've been able to speak back and forth, you know, with Dr. Dollar and being able to have those honest conversations. I never forget, you know, when I after years of not talking to him, walking back into, a lunch with him, and I remember just crying, and just hearing him say, he looked at me in my eyes. He's like, son, I'm sorry. And I'm like, wow, like I never thought that I would experience that. And then for me to look back at him and say, you know what, I'm sorry, because I realized that I was wrong. Like you, I've been in ministry, for almost 15 years, and then I pastored for the majority of those. And becoming a pastor, I started to realize very quickly, I don't have the capacity that I felt like I had to be all of this to all these people. And it's almost like, when you're a teenage son, you look at your father and you're like, oh, I can do that. I could do that better than you can. I could do that. I could do that. Then when you become a man, you like, oh, snap. You know what? Now I see why you did that. Now I see. So when I became a pastor, I was like, oh, I get it now. I have a capacity. I have a heart to be able to love on all these people. The problem is that I want to love on all these people, but I just don't have the capacity to do it. I got a wife. I got 3 kids. I want to have friends. I want to laugh. So I just want alone time sometimes. And I would tell people, hey, I'll call you at 6. And then I forget. Because I may be watching a show and it just doesn't even dawn on me. I'm supposed to call you. And I don't hear from you for a week and a half. And hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm all right. Oh, what's going on? You said you was going to call me. I apologize. I'm human. But that's now I see it, because I know that's what we put on them.
You know what? And that's reality, man. It's like for me this morning, right? I was up at 1:00 this morning because I had to do a live for the people that follow me. So I had to preach this morning. But watch this. I was supposed to do this live 2 weeks ago, right? But because of life and things have happened, I put it off until this morning at 1:00. I didn't get done until 3 something. Then I went to go pray. I didn't finish praying until 5 something. So the exhaustion just doing that was a whole lot. On top of the minute I got off live, my phone was going crazy in my inbox because, oh, man of God, you bless me. Man of God, can you pray for me? Man of God, you know what I'm saying? I need, it was just so much. And it was like, oh my God, like, and so now I'm understanding the responsibility. And sometimes I get it. So they have a pain inside of them that nobody understands, because they can't show that pain, right? We can show ours, right? But because we need you to be strong all the time, we can't, because again, one thing I've learned was, even in doing my own ministry, was, as I have over 100,000 some people that follow me on Facebook, right? And when I tell you, I still have a lack of support that's like beyond understanding. And so I never considered, although you get all these people that follow you, all these people don't support you still. You see what I'm saying to you? And then guess what? Now let's talk about, the elephant in the room. So then when a scandal happens, how many of those same people have your back that you've been covering and loving and pastoring and helping for all these years? You forgot about all the sacrifice I've made. You're going off of, you know what I'm saying? And that's the fear that I've had in ministry. I know. Because what if my humanity, right, was exposed? What if my issues because we all got a problem. And all of a sudden you want to try to slander my name and do all these videos.
I remember something I really respected about Dr. Dollar. One thing about him, I really believe he kept his business was his business.
Right.
You need to be in your business. He wasn't, even being around him personally, he wasn't a gossip. He wasn't gossip. He wasn't messy. He just wasn't. He was just like, well, praise the Lord. We can pray for him. Let's keep going. He's like, well, praise the Lord, just do it. But I remember when things were coming out, about Bishop Long, I never forget, he was at church and all these people from New Birth were showing up as changers. And he said, no. He said, you need to go back. You need to go back over there. He said, go back over there. And he said, that's my friend. He said, don't y'all come over here. Don't bring that over here. He said, y'all go back over there. And he mentioned something about, if I were to have a train wreck or something. He mentioned like a train wreck. He said, you know, would y'all do the same thing to me? He said, your pastor had a train wreck. But that's not the time to jump ship,
right,
and run, because if we can be honest, as a pastor, man, I've had people, man, like if I came out and said things about people,
right,
because I know them.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, you can accuse me, but the thing is, I know stuff about, like, I know details. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, even in those type of situations, people who you love as a leader, the pastors, you're loving on them and you're gracing them over and over again. You know, you know about the baby, you know about the abortion, you know about the adultery, you know about this, you know about all those things, but you're yet gracing them. But then when it comes time for the leader, it's like, let's expose them. Right. Let's take them down. Let's cancel them. That's the reason why, you know what? Yep, false prophet. And it's like, no, that person's a human. And that person had a very, very delicate human moment. And you turn that human moment into this means of, this person's supposed to be perfect. And it's not right.
Now watch this though. They have a human moment, right? Because I remember when you know how you said Dr. Dollar was very private, right? I remember when something happened with his daughter or something like that, and he went and he right? And I remember how the media portrayed him.
Yep.
But nobody from the outside actually had the details of what was going on the inside.
Right.
My point is this: when you look at even the stuff that happened with Bishop Long, he was condemned before he was justified.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. Because somebody can say, hey, this is what happened to me, not understanding, okay, cool. Like, because, you know, the what do they call it? The court of opinion or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? It's almost as if he was to ever even try to say, okay, this did not happen, or blase, you would have still looked at him and said, you touched these boys, or you did this and did that. You can't even defend yourself.
Right.
That's the difficulty of being in the public eye, because no matter what, the minute something negative comes out, I don't have the ability to condemn myself. Now watch this. We go to pastors, right?
Right.
And we go to pastors and tell them our sins, asking to pray for me, help me get better. But if the pastor have a sin, why can't they come to us and say, hey, I've sinned and I've fallen short of the glory.
Right.
Help me heal.
Right.
This is my problem. It don't happen because we automatically say, you're a false prophet, stealing church money. Why you got a jet? It's like it's all these things. And it's almost like, whoa. You know, I know we're not getting off topic, but I'm just saying, it's a lot to come with this thing. I just feel like we gotta, now we're talking about the whole sonship thing, but we, like you brought up, man, we have to show a level of grace still and a level of responsibility. And those of you who are sons who might be watching this, you got to be accountable for your own actions as well. And you got to make sure that you're not setting these standards that are unrealistic and not becoming a victim of your own standards.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? Because we become victims of our own standards.
Right.
Even though you might look at them, male or female, as this hierarchy, the reality of it is they're still not God.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're grown men in most cases, and grown women who are trying to have voids filled that should have been filled by our earthly mother and father.
Right.
And we're trying to find someone who emulates power and authority that we see from a stage, and we're trying to have them to fill those voids. And the truth of the matter is that there's no man or no woman walking on earth who can fill the voids that should have been filled by your earthly mother or father.
It's impossible.
And so my recommendation is do the same thing I've had to do. You need to go through the grieving process and grieve the fact that you will never have this. You will never have that same type of relationship that you want with your father, because I mean, for that grooming relationship is from from birth to 12 years old.
If
you're 12 years old, You know, you need to grieve the fact that, you know what, my daddy wasn't there, and I need to stop trying to live in this fantasy world that I need to somehow get somebody else to fill that void. Daddy wasn't there. Unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, daddy ain't gonna be there. And even if daddy comes back, daddy can't go back and heal that little boy. You're a grown man now.
Right.
You need to go through the grieving process. And even if, you know, for your spiritual father and all this kind of stuff, and, you know, now you're at this point, you don't want to talk to him, and you didn't hate the church, and now you didn't change this and went this way and done all this.
Right.
Like, we got to get out of stuff. We have to take personal responsibility for our lives and be able to, you know, move forward in that way. But, you know, and Shareef, I appreciate us having this time. What I feel like we need to do, we need to come back here. I feel like we need to unpack this some more. I feel like there's a lot that we need to unpack. But for the time being, I think right here would be a great time to put a cap on it just for this one, and then come back and let's unpack some more. Let's talk some more. And I think it'd be really cool as well, you know, to bring in a daughter and to have her to be able to give, you know, a daughter's perspective to this entire narrative.
Let's go for it, man. Like I'm with you, man. Like this is a continued discussion. There's no period here. It's only a comma. Until next time.
Hey, I appreciate that. Hey, but everybody out there, to be honest, man, we love you so much. God bless you. Y'all stay up. Y'all know this. And tune back in for another episode. And make sure you share this with your family, your friends. Hey, if we're talking about church culture, share it with your whole church. Share it with your pastor, because he probably be going through some stuff too. Hey, y'all, we love y'all. Introduces. I'm out.